For me personally, when I start to feel into what's needed, what's necessary at this time specifically, right? Like, astrology is great when we utilize it in the real world, in this now setting, right? We can read all that we want. We can memorize all of the archetypal expressions of all of the signs or all of the planets. We can chart it. We can know what the houses mean and everything else. However, if we can't apply it to our day-to-day lives, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really do us any good. And so the reason why I enjoy using astrology and these archetypal explorations is to be able to find myself falling into that natural rhythm of nature. It sounds a little redundant, but I don't know how else to say it. That natural rhythm of nature, that as above, so below, as within, so without. If nature around us is right now calling for change, calling for rebirth, calling for resurrection, like Mark just said, for example, just now, he came to the mat today. I thought about how often I've come to practice out of fear. And this is the first time in a long time that I felt a coming to practice out of love, wanting to spend some time coming back to myself, right? So it's this shift that's taking place in how we interact with our world, with both our inner world and our outer world. So as the days begin to get longer, we have more sunlight. The sun, the declination of the sun is such that we feel its warmth more than we do in the winter months at the latitude that we are currently at. So we are literally like those little tiny seedlings that come up and out of the soil. I spoke about this, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before in the live stream, about the quickening that takes place, where the shell of the seed kernel starts to crack open and the sprouts come up and out and they push up through the soil, and then we have this chance to expand. And this is where we are. We're expanding. We're pushing ourselves up and out of the soil, and it takes that Aries fire, that Aries energy to make that happen. So it's a good time for us to take a look at that. Like, where do we want to channel that warrior energy, right? And sometimes we might find ourselves getting grumpy, getting crabby. Carrie, I have a feeling of a strong need to change my daily work and open to opportunities and possibilities. Trying not to push to make it happen, but allow it to happen. Yes, 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 yes. Perfect, perfect, perfect. It's that Aries, right? It gives us that push. However, if we already have a lot of drive, it can push us into overdrive. We can feel, I know specifically me, I am an Aries moon. I have an Aries south node, and I have a lot of planets and aspects taking place in Aries, which is also in my first house. So even though I'm not born under the sign of Aries, I'm not an Aries sun, I have a lot of Aries in me. I have a lot of fire in me. For those of you that know me, I'm sure you're really surprised. But I have this push, this drive, this natural ability to make things happen. And when this time of year rolls around, and also when the moon is in Aries, I notice that there's this desire to push a little bit harder, so to speak. And it actually, the way that I figured it out is that I started to realize how frustrated I was getting. And I would stop and look around me and notice all the things that I was actually accomplishing, and recognizing that there is no way it's humanly possible for me to accomplish any more than I already had in the time allotted, right? Like, we only have 24 hours in a day. We only have 7 days in a week. That's the world, the structure that we have to live in, so it doesn't matter what my internal system wants to create in that amount of time. It's what's actually possible. So again, back to what Mark was saying about balance, right? It's finding that balance between, you know, the expectation and the reality of what's possible.